The day has come. We are finally greenlit on 2020 racing, and the Grand Prix schedule has been released for 2020, well, at least for the first 8 races. So we're going to talk about all of that, the implications, and what is to come. Let's get straight into it. So here's a list of the Grand Prix that are going to be on the schedule and confirmed for this season. We'll be starting off at the Red Bull Ring twice, July 3rd and July 10th. And then we'll be going to the Hungaroring. We'll be going to back-to-back races at Silverstone. After that, we have the Spanish Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix, and finally the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. 2020 will see a return of the triple header, and not just once. There will be 2 triple headers, and not even in the whole season. This is just talking about the first 8 Grand Prix. In the history of F1, this has only happened on one occasion, and that was in 2018 when we went to the French Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix, and the British Grand Prix. And when that happened in 2018, many of the boss spoke out, citing personal stress of their teams, their drivers, of the personnel. Red Bull team boss Christian Horner commented, "It's certainly expensive for moving the cars, parts, people in such a short succession. You'll see here, we have a different hospitality facility. The usual energy station just simply wouldn't have been possible for it to complete the triple headers, so of course, there's costs associated with that. There's a drain on resource because obviously an awful lot of components going backwards and forwards to the UK. We're fortunate that the final race of the triple header for us is where the team is obviously based. Obviously harder for teams not based in the UK, but it's certainly tough." A really important point to make in these trying financial times. At the current moment, there are no plans to include fans at any of these first 8 Grand Prix. But that could change. Chase Carey said this about the matter. "While we expect the season to commence without fans, we hope that over the coming months the situation will allow us to welcome them back. But we know the return of Formula 1 will be a welcome boost to sports fans around the world. It's likely that Liberty will do whatever they can to bring fans back to the sport. Their revenue depends on it. You can see this begin to get complicated with races in countries that are financially mission critical for F1. But contract talks are, as Chase Carey would say, fluid." Forbes Sports Money broke the news yesterday that the Brazilian Grand Prix organizers had every intention on running the race with fans present. Formula Money reports that the organizers continued on by saying, quote, "Preparations for the Brazilian Grand Prix are on schedule, and we are certain that the famous Interlagos circuit will be a stage of yet another fascinating race. The event will be run under the existing contract without difficulty. We expect confirmation of the November date by the FAA to put tickets on sale like the other flyaway races." Now here's the tricky part, and the important fine print, in my opinion. In order to be classified as a Formula 1 championship, they need 8 Grand Prix officially on the books, and that's as stipulated by the Sporting Regulations 5.4. You can see that on screen. The other notable clause worth mentioning here is 5.6, just a few lines later. The reason I find this notable is because it positions the FIA in unequivocal power with regard to Liberty and FOM, and the discretion to place these races back on the calendar in a 2021. That falls with the FIA and the FIA alone, if the proper notice wasn't given, which in these circumstances, they're not. Now, if you yourself wanted to read the regulations, you can go ahead and click the link in the description below. It'll take you over to the site. Just go ahead and tell me where to send it, and you'll have it right in your inbox. You can be right on your way. And should Formula 1 ban fans from actually attending races, as they plan to, this is really going to hurt Formula 1 in the wallet, thanks to the tremendous drop in ticket sales, but also because of the economic boost the regional economy gets. When a Grand Prix is put on without spectators, the risk-reward dynamics, they change dramatically for the circuit and the venue. NBC reports, "The Spanish Grand Prix brings in more than 160 million euros or $173 million to the region, with the total of its financial impact during the year nearing 300 million euros or $325 million. And this is according to the data from the track. The attendance for last year's race weekend surpassed 160,000 people. The financial implications are great across the board, and F1 is least of all immune. Their primary sources of revenue are from race fees, sponsorships, and broadcast contracts. I listened in on the Liberty Media earnings call to get more of an insight to this, and their Q1 filing stated this. Since there were no events held during the first quarter of 2020, primary F1 revenue consisted only of the elements of sponsorship contracts associated with non-race related rights that were recognized during the period, and no race promotion fees nor broadcasting fees were recognized. But none of that means anything in real dollars and cents, right? Well, what this looks like in real life money, this translated to a 93% revenue loss. That's 200 million to 13 million in that same period. So it's abundantly clear that it's not feasible for the sport to not race, even with its massive umbrella company that Formula 1 operates under floating it cash. Thus, as per the sporting regulations, the confirmation of these 8 races coming today, that's likely not just some arbitrary line item, some random number. Those 8 races mean something to Formula 1. This sort of positive news is exactly what the company needs, and they trade under F1 over on the NASDAQ. The street has placed some pretty aggressive goals under F1, so these things are really necessary to hit the growth targets. And this news certainly will result in a pop in the ticker price. As of the time of this recording, the stock finally breached the $36 mark, a feat that hasn't been achieved since March 4th, exactly 90 days ago today. You've likely also noticed Chase Carey mentioned 15 to 18 Grand Prix. That's what he's targeting for the full season. Also, not an arbitrary number. There has been some connection of Formula 1 needing to hit the 15 race minimum to avoid a provision that would kick in to reduce broadcast fees. Forbes Sport Money again reports, quote, F1 filings state that typically, Formula 1 broadcast contracts include a provision to reduce the fee payable to Formula 1 if there are fewer than 15 events. So we've talked about the 8 that are confirmed. We've talked about why 15, why 8 even. So let's talk about what's actually left on the table, what's likely for the rest of the season, and look at what's possible given the situation and the circuits that have been canceled, postponed, etc. Here are the rounds that have been canceled, and it's been very clear that they will not be rescheduled. Australia, Netherlands, Monaco, and France. And here are the 5 rounds that Liberty has kept on the table as venues need to be rescheduled and are currently looking for a new date. And lastly, that leaves 7 races in limbo: Singapore, Russia, Japan, US, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. Optimistically, I'll assume that 4 of the 5 Grand Prix that were elected to be classified as TBD are going to be rescheduled. If one had to be cut, I could see China being the biggest problem rescheduling. That leaves us with 12 Grand Prix for the 2020 season. I'm confident the rounds in the Americas will go through, which should satisfy Liberty's lofty projections, even without the need to double up on events as they've done at Silverstone. All in all, I'm impressed with the aggressive schedule Liberty has been able to secure logistically. But reasons we've talked about in this video, it's more so about self-preservation. My biggest concern is what this will do to the teams, the overall atmosphere of Grand Prix racing, and just the personnel. They're going to be absolutely worn out. And even if teams are operating at 100% full capacity right now, which I'm sure they're not, just as in 2018, they're going to experience this exhaustion. But nonetheless, let's just enjoy good news and celebrate the fact that we have Grand Prix racing returning to the schedule. It's going to be non-stop action, the likes the sport has never seen in its illustrious 70 years. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I'll be giving you more F1 history, news, analysis, coverage, and detailed accounts from F1's past. I have the 2017 coming up. I know you guys are waiting. I've talked a lot about it. It is the biggest video I've done so far, bar none. So I look forward to giving you that soon. Enjoy this video, and I'll see you very, very soon.